Hey guys, my name is Zachary Gudrino. You're watching ADF Lifestyle. Alright, what's going on, guys? We're going to talk about some anxiety right now, and we're going to talk about what we think anxiety is, or what people tell us anxiety is. So, anxiety is a feeling, it is an emotion. It's not a disorder, it's something that everybody experiences. Everyone will have anxiety in their lifetime. You can go with anxiety from work, from family, from relationships, from anything that could cause stress. An anxiety disorder is when you have anxiety for no reason, when you are feeling anxious and overwhelmed, when you are just sitting at home relaxing, just like I am right now. Just sitting at home and just feel not well. This is why anxiety can be misdiagnosed a lot of the time, because it is a common emotion that people feel, that when you go to a doctor and you tell them like, oh, I'm not sure what's wrong with me, I'm anxious all the time. Or maybe you don't even know you're anxious. Maybe you just go to the doctor saying, I get lightheaded and I get dizzy and I feel like I'm going to faint, or that I'm very hot, my hands are clammy, and that you just feel like your heart's going to bust out of your chest. Those are all just symptoms of having an anxiety disorder. And I do this because an anxiety disorder is saying that there is something wrong with your brain, like you are incapable without medicine to fix these things, which is not true. Because everybody's body is made to regulate these emotions, and sometimes you don't have the right minerals and vitamins in your body to do such, making you anxious all the time. I've been to a lot of doctors over the past 5, 10 years about my anxiety, and they've all always told me the same things, like you need to practice meditation, or you need to practice relaxation, and how those things are what's really causing me to be anxious. But recently I've discovered that it really doesn't matter how much you cope with them and use these coping mechanisms, because you're really just putting a band-aid over it. I feel like I am an anxiety expert in the fact that when I have a panic attack, and don't think that I don't have a panic attack because I'm making these channels, I have anxiety every single day of my life, and I'm still fighting with it to this day. I just feel like some people should be able to fight alongside with me and listen to what I have to say. So, a couple of the medicines that the doctors were giving me to like numb me down were like Zoloft, Wellbutrin, uh, bupropion. I've also taken Ativan, lorazepam, novalorazepam, a bunch of benzos that are made to just numb out your adrenals so that you don't get stressed out. These are all also just band-aids. They're not there for long term. They're there to make you feel better about the situation that's happening right there, right then, that moment. So why do doctors keep prescribing band-aid medication to everybody? Because the scientific studies on anxiety really isn't that advanced, to be honest. There was a time when your parents were young that if they had anxiety symptoms, doctors would say, "Oh, you're crazy," or like we don't have anything for you. We don't have anything to give you besides what's like the first friggin' SSRI antidepressant is like Prozac. Like we're just gonna hop you up on this stuff and it's gonna numb you out so that you feel decent enough to continue. I don't really blame the doctors, because anxiety is a completely like it's all nerves, right? But when you go to see a family doctor, they're not specialists in anxiety and your nervous system. Their speciality is common health, like having the flu, having a cold, having symptoms of like cancer and stuff like that. So a lot of the times when you explain these symptoms to them, they're going to misdiagnose it. Um, I've been to doctors where they have told me that it's my thyroid, and they do test on my thyroid and it's fine, and then they tell me it's my blood sugar, and I go and get my blood sugar checked and my blood sugar's fine. I get checked my lungs, my heart. I've had MRIs done. I've had full body scans, check for tumors, check for irregular growths in my body, and they never find anything. So then what I ended up doing was just hopping myself up on more of the Band-Aid medication to be able to function for the last 5 years. So after those 5 years of using these Band-Aid medications, I started having a breakdown about 4 months ago. I was feeling terrible again. I was feeling tired, and just my legs would get weak at work, and I was sweating and felt like my anxiety was returning. And I was like, well, what the hell's going on? Like, I'm on these medications. Like, I'm supposed to be able to be fine. Like, I'm supposed to be okay. They said that I was able to take these and it would reduce my anxiety. But really, my anxiety was being caused by an underlying disorder in my body. My body has adrenal fatigue. I was stressed out for so long that my body is unable to produce a chemical called cortisol, and with that chemical not being produced, I can't deal with day-to-day stress, such as just things like seeing people and talking to people. Say you talk to somebody you dislike on the street, but then when you talk to them they annoy you. That's something, it's very minor. It would just be something that would go off on the rest. Like, it would just, whatever, your body would just, no big deal. Like, I don't like that person, I'm just going to continue with my day. But I wouldn't have the chemical cortisol in my body to help transform those stress hormones into dopamine and serotonin. So those are things that would make me anxious all the time. So what I've done recently is I've decided to take my health in a completely different direction. I'm going to be looking into all naturals. I've lowered my SSRI, which I do not recommend doing without talking to your doctor, because I am not a doctor, but I am saying that this is what I have done. I lowered my SSRI, and I am feeling better than I have in a long time. But it has a lot to do with diet and what you are putting into yourself. I know you'll hear this a million times from a million people saying diet is everything. What you put into yourself is what you're going to get out of yourself. But it's never been more true. But at the same time, you could think you're eating perfectly fine, and you could already be past the point of self-recovery. Like, you need a boost. You need to get some medicine or supplements that are going to help your adrenal glands strengthen up to be able to pump out cortisol and help you relax and deal with your day-to-day lives. One more thing before I end this video, because I feel like I'm starting to ramble, is I'm just going to tell you that it gets better. There is always an upside to every single downside, and it sounds like a big thing of shit, but I have been so down and so low before that it felt like life wasn't worth living. And I can honestly say that you just have to know what you're doing. You have to educate yourself. You can't rely on doctors. You can't rely on appointment to appointment. You have to think, I need to figure out what's wrong with myself. If it means going on the internet and figuring out what can cause these things and a bunch of options and bringing it to the doctor's attention, that might piss them off. But fuck it. It's about making you feel better. So I'm just telling everybody that that's what I'm doing. I'm really happy with my direction of where I'm going, and that I will be starting a new plan coming up that I'll explain to everybody. It's called the Candida Diet. I'll explain that in my next video. It's going to be very intense, and there's going to be a lot of supplements, which I'll also show you guys. But until then, I'm going to sit back and watch some football and enjoy my night. So, cheers.